Welcome back to another edition of the Educational AD Podcast. We couldn't do this without the incredible support of our sponsors, and we want to start by saying thank you to all of them. First, thanks to our diamond sponsor, Varsity Brands, including BSN, Varsity Spirit, and Herff Jones. Varsity Brands, elevating student experiences in sport, spirit, and achievement. We also want to thank our platinum sponsors, including Ephesus Lighting, innovating a brighter future at every level. Gilman Gear, always a step ahead. Camp Mobile, where teams communicate better. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. And Vital Signs, bring student achievements to life. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast, today featuring the FIAAA Insider. Our guest today is Cheryl Shivel. She's the Director of Athletics at Astronaut High School in Titusville, Florida. Cheryl, welcome to the program.
Jake, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're very excited to have you on and represent that Space Coast. As you know, the life of an AD is always going, so we're going to jump right in. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school and college, and maybe how that love of sports got you into teaching and coaching.
Well, thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. Just to give you a little background on me, I grew up on the Space Coast. So last night's rocket and subsequent sonic boom shook the windows in my house last night. So that was pretty crazy. But I've been growing up around that for the last 40 years. My parents moved down to Florida in the early 70s. And I was probably in 4th grade and moved from New York and moved down here and have lived here ever since. I graduated high school from the rival, our crosstown rival here in Titusville. That's Titusville High School, and graduated from there. Wrote for the school newspaper in high school. Never played a sport in high school, but I always had a love for running. So I've been a runner my entire adult life. And went to my first year of college out in a little private school out in Searcy, Arkansas. And it's called Harding University. It's a little NAIA school. And I tried to run cross country for them. And so I ran one season and that was it. Moved back to Florida, finished up my education at the University of Central Florida. And I just kind of worked my way through college. Never played a sport again in college, but always continued to run. Fast forward the year 2000, I got a degree. Actually, I got a degree in accounting at UCF. So I have a business background. So I feel like in my job that's pretty good, pretty beneficial. And then I found myself looking for a job where I could spend more time with my children. And so my younger sister, Mary Rose, was an elementary school teacher, and she said, "Why don't you try teaching?" And so couldn't imagine doing elementary school. So I thought with my business background, perhaps math might work for me. And so I got my math certification and applied to Astronaut High School. And they were either really desperate to hire a math teacher, or I really, shot the interview out of the park. But I feel like it was the former rather than the latter. But taught math for 10 years, and in that time, with athletic administration in most high schools, we also do the activities side of it. And so in our school, we had an athletic director, and then I was the activities director. So normally it's one position, but we were on a 4x4 block scheduling, and so I got to teach 2 blocks, and then I was off 2 blocks to be the activities director as well as the assistant athletic director. So I did a lot of the paper pushing for our athletic director here, and I did that for probably 3 or years. And then after our athletic director retired, I interviewed for the job and I got it. So you know, I think people's criticism. I've never coached a sport a day in my life. I've never really played a sport a day in my life, but I find that athletic administration is more managerial, I think, than anything else. However, you know, I do love all the sports that come through our school and that are offered here at our school. And I just have been a sports aficionado for a long time. My early years, huge when this will date me a little bit, when Florida didn't have a Major League Baseball team. The nearest place was, of course, Atlanta. And so I became a huge Atlanta Braves fan. And then when, you know, Florida got their teams, I just kind of continued to be a Braves fan, and just, you know, baseball is my first love, and then of course football and all the other ones. So that's my background. That's how I got here. I'm in my 11th year here as athletic director and activities director as well. So yeah.
Oh, well, it's always great for me, and I know our listeners too, to have a chance to get to know, you know, people from around the state and from around the country. Let's go and talk a little bit about that transition from just activities director, and I say just, to taking on, you know, both roles. What were some of the things about the athletic director position that, you know, maybe surprised you, you didn't really count on? And then what were a couple of things that you really felt you hit it out of the park, you know, during your time as AD?
That's a great question. When I first got into the role, you know, you always look to the older athletic director colleagues in your immediate circle. And so, you know, when my former athletic director retired, he said, you know, if you don't have officials and you don't have transportation, you're kind of screwed, because that's the heart and soul of what you have to do. And then, you know, the challenging part was to, you know, just honestly to figure out, or to know, or to get straight, okay, what teams are in your conference? Okay, football, you're 5A, but soccer, you're 4A. And oh, by the way, wrestling, you're 1A. And so here are the, you know, so all of that compartmentalization was a challenge at first, but now, you know, you ask me what we are, and of course, you know, I know, and that just kind of comes from just knowing, but you know, that piece was just trying to get all the information. And another colleague of mine told me, you better make the FHSAA website your Bible, and that's where you go for the answers, and you should check it every day. And I have done that faithfully for 11 years. I check it every day because I take the advice of people that have done it for a longer time than me. The challenges, you know, moving forward, you know, well, I would say that things have gotten easier with respect to where I was 11 years ago to now. A lot of things are electronic. A lot of things are, you know, web-based. You know, just that ease part of it is a good thing for me. So you know, I feel like that. You know, some things that try and get mainstreamed, and you know, the resources are out there. You just got to go find them and seek them out. So.
Well, I mean, there's obviously, you're doing a great job there. I believe you were selected as the Space Coast Athletic Director of the Year last year.
I was, yep, I was. So that was a good honor for them to bestow. But you know what? It's one of those things where you just try and do the best you can, and you can't do it without the people that you surround yourself with. And I surround myself with some good people that want to work and want to work for and with me, and I'm not afraid to ask. I always tell people tell me no all the time, but I'm not afraid to ask for anything, or for someone to do something, or to delegate, or to just make it, you know, a teamwork project. So,
you know, talking about people in our profession, we always stress the importance of leadership and, you know, the other side of that, mentorship. Who are some of your mentors, growing up, teachers, coaches, or, people that you have worked with or worked for, whose voices do you still hear when you're talking to a coach or you're talking to a team?
When I was younger, your kind of younger self looks, it's sort of what's happening in the moment at the time. And so when I was younger, I had two really wonderful teachers that I just really looked up to and challenged me. One of them is my friend today. It's 40 years later, and he is just one of my dearest friends. We get together every Christmas, and I went to my first Gator game with him, my very first Gator football game with him. He's a season ticket holder, and so he took me to a game. In my workplace environment, my former athletic director, Tim Sparkman, he such an amazing man. Just we called him the gentle giant. He was just a teddy bear. He never smiled until November, but he was just the softie, and he wanted you to succeed. So he told you, those steps to take to succeed. So I credit him with a lot of my success in my role here at Astronaut High School. I've worked for three pretty cool principals, all different, 2 men, 1 woman. I have a younger principal now, which is just the energy is just crazy good. So that has been a blessing, and just has changed my view, or just make me see things in a different, younger set of eyes, which I think is pretty neat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's great to hear. You've been around, the school setting for, quite a while now, activities director, teacher, 11 years now as the AD. Outside of the technology, the fact that we're Zooming right now, or, email and home campus and things like that, outside of the technology, what are some things that you've noticed, even just in the 11 years you've been the AD, how has your job changed? What are things that, you have on your plate now that you didn't have when you first started?
When I first started, there was a huge teacher base where I could pull my coaches from. And so that has been, 10 years ago, I would put an email out. I need a volleyball coach, and have 5 people that would apply or be interested. Now my community coach base is about equivalent to what my on-staff coaching base is, and so that's been a challenging mix, just to try and mesh the two, because you want your kids here that want to see their coach on campus, and they want to see that familiar face, not just at practice or at a game or whatever. So that's been a little challenging. Our population has decreased for this area, and we have such a long county, so it just might be a demographic thing where, when the space shuttle program ended several years ago, our school population just plummeted. We were busting at the seams at 2,000, and now we're barely making 1,100. And so that's been that's been challenging, trying to get those athletes out of the hallways and onto the playing field. So that's been scarce. So we've had to really fight for our programs that have in the past been hugely successful, and so we just try and get those kids out. So I think maybe the I don't want to say the lack of student base, but there's just not a lot of kids playing in this area, high school athletics. If they're any good, sometimes our kids go to different schools, so that's been a challenge where they go for athletics, and you and I can't do anything about that. So that's the choice that these kids have these days. So.
Those are all great points, and again, just for me, it underlines how fortunate we are at my school. Almost every single one of our varsity head coaches, is a teacher or works on campus, and it just makes such a difference to see the kids every day in the hallways, in the classrooms, in the dining hall. So, you tell your principal and superintendent, they need to hire those great teachers who can also coach and
You're,
bring
you're
something
so
else to
lucky.
the table.
You're really lucky to have that. Really lucky. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk COVID a little bit. Certainly, we've seen it impact schools this last spring. In Florida, everywhere else, you lost sports. Um, in Florida, we are now into, I guess, the second week of the restart. But what's happening right now in your school, in your district, with regards to um, academics as well as to fall sports?
Mhm. So we came to a screeching halt on Friday, the 13th of March this year, and that was the last we were in school. Um, everybody was in quarantine, shut down. All our teachers, we couldn't even come back. We couldn't even come back at all into our schools. We got a go-ahead to start summer conditioning end of July, excuse me, end of June. And so we got that go ahead to do that. We had some sports do it and some not. And so of course, conditioning is conditioning. You should only be doing conditioning. And so we got that rolling. And then we came out to our county had a return to activities committee that consisted of the county athletic director, the assistant superintendent, and a couple of athletic directors to phase into what we see or what we recommend for athletics to look like. So we are currently, we have, with the exception of football, we are currently in uh, full contact. Football will go to phase 3, if you will, on September 8th. We just got all of our students back either on campus or e-learning on August, where are we? August 24th is when the kids came back. And we're probably at about 30% kids e-learning right now. And so we are looking to start our fall season. We have our first contest in volleyball, fall sports, other than football, September 15th. So we have a sort of a truncated season. Football will come have their first game on September 25th. We've got a 7-week varsity schedule in county only. We're committed to the state series for every sport. And then for volleyball, we have a 10-game. You can have up to 12 games, but we chose 10. So we have 10 games for volleyball, and that's JV and varsity only. We have a 4-match season for golf, and then we have our conference meet. We have a 4 swim meet schedule. We have a 10-week or 10-game bowling schedule. And what else am I missing? Cross country, we have 4 meets. So, and all within whatever time frame was set by the county. So it's, we've got 16 days to play, 12 games in volleyball. So we'll go through in football, 7 weeks. We'll go through November 6th for our final football game, and then we'll get into the state series. So that's kind of how we're seeing it roll right now. It's pretty cautious. I tell you what, the protocols that the county's handed down and that what we are asking of our coaches and students to ensure a safe environment I'd be shocked if any of our kids from athletics got infected with anything because of the protocols that we're going through. So
I appreciate you sharing that. And again, for our listeners in Florida, normally fall sports starts July 27th. To make a long story short, our state association it delayed the start until August 24th. Some schools chose to start even a week or 2 or even later than that. But as you heard Cheryl mentioned, even with their shortened season and only playing in county for the regular season, they're still participating in what we call the state series, which is our playoff. So just a wide variety of responses. And again, Cheryl, thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
Let's go and shift gears a little bit. What are some of your favorite parts of the job? What gets you excited about getting up each day and coming to Astronaut High School?
Well, I always tell my kids that um, I laugh every day. It doesn't matter. These kids, they just make me laugh, and I think that's what makes me come back all the time. Is that for every bad maybe moment that you might have, there's a moment where these kids just make you laugh, and they want to succeed, and they want to perform, and they want um, to do well for you. So that's a big part of why I do what I do. I should have joined the circus when I was younger because I do love to juggle. So juggling a lot of things at one time, and I can turn on a dime and I can change gears, and so a lightning thunderstorm doesn't throw me. Do we have a fight on the court? Yeah, we got a fight on the court. Let's figure this out. So juggling is really what I do best, and so I truly enjoy doing that. I feel like that my office for athletics and activities for colleagues as well is inviting, that I'm always there to help. I've been here long enough that if I don't know the answer, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows the answer. So I feel like that's part of the job that I really like, is that sense of being able to help these kids get eligible. And because in the end, with our athletes, what are you trying to do? We're trying to make them better people. We want them to graduate. We are here to help. We are not just here to win a state championship in X, pick a sport. We care about those individuals that walk through our doors. Our coaches care. I've never had a football coach that hasn't been in this guidance office weekly, checking on kids, checking on their grades, I have never experienced something like that, and he's amazing. And so because he wants to help these kids, not just do well in their sport, but you know what, if you're going to play at a college level, or you're going to play at the next level, we got to know where you are and what. And so my coaches help, not just, oh my God, he got an offer, but what's the next step in helping you achieve that goal? So a really big part of why I love my job is because the people in this community care about the kids in our community, and that's why I love my job.
Wow, that's great stuff. You mentioned the next step. One of my favorite books is Good to Great. I don't know if you've ever read it, but what are some things that you're doing right now at Astronaut High School that you do really, really well, but at the same time, as an AD, you're looking at taking it to that next level, kind of a good to great step. Can you give us, one or two things?
For I think what we do well, some things, and we used to do it very well. And just off the top of my head, our boosters back in the day, back in the 70s, when we had Chris Collinsworth here, when we had Wilbur Marshall here, when we had those athletes here, our booster club was huge, like huge. Over the last 10 years, it just has gone by the wayside. We just have, the booster club just kind of dissolved, and it just kind of went away. When Mrs. Miller, our new principal, came back, she wanted it back, and we got a booster formation. We did what we needed to do, and we're doing it good. I feel like we have those connections in our community that we're doing very well, but there's always ways to take it to that next level. And I just once again surround myself with those types of people that will help me do that and make those connections with those alumni, with those people that will help make that part better. The other thing I can think of for me, I think I organize our eligibility, the ways that we collect data from from my athletes. I have yet to jump the fence and make that electronic, only because I feel like I'm old school sometimes, where I just like to have that I want that kid to bring that athletic packet to me. I want to look in his or her face and say, okay, Susie, okay, Treyon, okay, let's go over this real quick, so I can put a face to a name and it not all be electronic. So I think there might be a way I can do that a little bit better, but maybe not jump all the way and go to a totally electronic mode, because I don't know. I love seeing my kids. I was here for every day of football conditioning this summer, making sure that those kids signed that COVID waiver and all of that. And I honest to God, man, I loved it. I loved being right there with those kids and talking to them and seeing them and all of that. I think we do it well, but I think there's always some ways you can always do it better. So, I don't know. It sounds so simplistic, but
no, not at all. But I am going to tell you, when you make that jump and you go to athleticclearance.com for those eligibility forms, it will change your life, Cheryl. It will change your life, and you'll have so much more time to go out to practices and see the kids. I'm telling you, that's my free Jake advice.
how do you? I pride myself, because here's the thing. Jake, I will know your name 20 years from now. I will know you. I will know you because I've met you. I'll know you. Those kids that come through, I will know them because I've talked to them. I've seen them. I've dealt with their paperwork. I know where you live because I read the address. And I don't know. I feel that sense of like, it's mine. Those are my kids. I don't know. Yeah, and people say that, but I'm still not ready to do that.
Just in the short time I've had to visit with you today, I know you'll go out and find those ways to connect and relate to those kids. I think I do a pretty good job with that, but I'm telling you, athletic clearance, it'll change your life.
All right.
Wow, this has been great. I really enjoyed talking with you, but we're not done yet. We always like to wrap up with what we call the athletic director's toolbox. So you are an experienced AD, a very successful AD. I'm challenging you with sending out a brand new athletic director on their very first job. But I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox. What 3 things are going to go in Cheryl Shivel's athletic director toolbox?
I would say number 1, the direct cell phone number to the director of compliance at the FHSAA. So I would send that to him or her. I would send probably, once again, I'm old school, but calendar driven. The planning calendar is a must. That for your state association, whatever state that you're living in, pick it, whatever. But we have a planning calendar that shows deadlines, shows what you need to do, when, how, and if you don't know how to do it, it'll tell you how to do it. So that would be it. And then probably the third thing, if I could speak freely, I would say a cooler of your favorite cold sodas, and I'm using air quotes.
I love it.
So I would probably have to say that. If you weren't, someone who might drink, this job might drive you to drink. No, I'm just kidding. I would probably have to say, golly, that one's the last one is a tough one. However, whatever piece of equipment, whether it be your phone or whatever that you use to organize your thoughts, or a planner of some kind, something just to organize yourself and have that. In addition, if I can add a 4th thing, maybe an app that has meditation on it, as you need it.
That is great. I love the cooler. I think every AD has been thinking it, but you're the only one that's been brave enough to mention it.
Oh man.
Okay.
There's my big mouth.
No, thank you so much.
You're
Cheryl,
welcome.
this has been great. I know you and I had a chance to talk email-wise about certification, and it's just been great to get to know you here a little bit. I'm looking forward to working with you the rest of this year, and hopefully we'll see you at the national conference in Tampa in December.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, to our listeners, thanks as always for tuning in. Come back again next time for another episode of the Educational AD. Thanks again for listening to the Educational AD podcast. Remember, these are also uploaded to YouTube under Educational AD podcast, where you can not only listen, but watch the interviews. Thanks again for watching.